Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. What if I told you that when it comes to long-term care, most families don't have a plan in place, and not having a plan in place can cost you everything you worked your entire life to build? Today, I want to talk about the biggest mistakes families make when it comes to long-term care planning, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. Let's talk about the emotional traps, the financial blind spots, and the steps you can take now to protect yourself and those you love. The first mistake, and honestly one of the biggest, is waiting too long to have the conversation. I get it. It's uncomfortable to sit down with your spouse or your parent and say, hey, what's the plan if you can no longer take care of yourself? We don't want to think about that, let alone talk about it. But the truth is, if you wait until there's a diagnosis or until a crisis hits, your options shrink dramatically. My friend's mom recently had a stroke, and overnight she went from being completely independent to needing full-time care. There had never been a single conversation about what she wanted, where she would go, or how it would be paid for. The kids had to scramble to find a facility, spend thousands they had never planned for, and rush to make decisions that they later regretted. The key is this: you want to have these conversations now when everyone is calm and healthy. You don't want to scramble to make these decisions in the middle of a medical emergency. The second big mistake is underestimating the real cost of long-term care. The truth is, it's shockingly expensive. A private room in a nursing home now costs over $115,000 a year. Assisted living, that averages around $60,000 a year. Memory care, it can easily be $75,000 a year or more depending on where you live. And here's the shocking part. That's just the base price. Once you start adding on the add-on services like laundry, personal care needs, and medication management, specialty meals, that can easily add on several $100s a month or even several $1,000s a month. Imagine your dad moves into a memory care facility that advertises a flat rate of $6,200 a month. Your thought is, it's high, but at least it's predictable. But once he's settled in, you then find out that almost nothing is actually included in that base rate. There's a $350 monthly charge for medication management, $100 for help with hygiene and grooming, $250 for safety monitoring, and another $200 a month for meal modifications because of dietary needs. Suddenly, that $6,200 a month becomes $7,100 a month, and that's before you've even looked at a bill for transportation or personal items. By the end of the year, instead of $74,000 a year, you're closer to $85,000 a year. And that's before you've even gotten to the transportation bills. And this is exactly what we're seeing with my dad. There is a fee for practically everything. I can barely describe this. There is not only a medication management fee, but there is a glove fee for the nurse who has to dispense the medications. If he wants to use the gym at the facility, there is a fee for a person who has to sit in the gym for his safety to make sure he's okay during the activity. For any activity he wants to do, there's an additional fee for somebody who has to be in the room, and this fee is charged to every single person in the facility. All of these little extra charges add up fast, and when you're already feeling emotionally overwhelmed, it can be hard to keep track of the finances. The bottom line is the sticker price never tells the full story, and families get blindsided all the time by these extra charges. Another huge mistake families make is assuming Medicare will cover long-term care. This is one of the most dangerous myths out there, that Medicare covers these expenses. Medicare does not cover custodial care, which means help with bathing and dressing, daily life activities, memory care. It does not cover these. At best, Medicare might cover a short-term rehab stay after hospital admission. And even then, it's only for up to 100 days, but after that, you are on your own. If you or a loved one need ongoing care, it's important that you understand that it is very likely that you will have to find a way to foot this bill yourself. You can get to the point where if you've spent down all your assets, Medicaid will kick in, or if you're a veteran, there are VA benefit programs that do cover things, but there are strict limits on who applies, and not everyone does. And it is important that you understand this and prepare for it before you're looking at a bill that's $10,000 a month. Another really painful mistake, and one I have personal experience with, is not having the right legal documents in place. My dad was an incredibly driven, fit, hardworking person all his life. In other words, someone you wouldn't expect to need long-term care, but you can't make assumptions. And rather suddenly, he went from being very fit and able to take care of himself to needing memory care. And all of this happened at a point where he had no legal documents in place. No will, no medical directives, no power of attorney, nothing. And now it's too late. He's no longer in a position where he could sign any of these documents. And so my family and I have to pool together and do our best guess of what we think he would have wanted. It would have been easier had these documents been in place so we knew we would be executing exactly what he wanted. Once he passes, we will have to go through the probate process. All of this would have been avoided, and the emotional toll would have been avoided had these documents already been prepared. It is a hard situation, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So please, while you and your loved ones are mentally capable, set up a durable power of attorney, your healthcare proxy, and your advance directives. It saves so much stress and money and heartache for your loved ones. And finally, one more mistake that gets a lot of families in trouble is ignoring Medicaid planning until it's too late. Medicaid can truly be a lifesaver for those who need a long-term care facility and otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it. But there are strict asset income limits and spend down periods and a 5-year look back period, so you need to be aware of all of these in order to qualify. If you've made gifts or moved assets improperly within that 5-year look-back window, you could face penalties or be denied coverage right when you need it most. So this kind of planning would have to happen years in advance. So if it is a route you want to consider, make sure you talk to a qualified elder law attorney. The bottom line is that long-term care isn't just about financial planning. It's about dignity and choice. It's about protecting your family and preventing them from having to make really difficult, rushed decisions in times when everything is difficult. Don't wait until a crisis forces your hand. Don't assume that you'll just figure it out later. Start the conversation now, get the right documents in place, and understand the real costs, and have a plan on how you're going to cover them. Because when it comes to long-term care, the earlier you plan, the more control you have, the more peace of mind you have. What are your thoughts when it comes to preparing for potentially paying for long-term care for yourself or a loved one? Leave your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. So stupid. Dangerous myths. Okay, to end up in situation, technically a medical